and welcome to the 5th Halloween coloring tutorial. I promised you Halloween madness, didn't I? And the month isn't even over yet. I still have a few tricks up my sleeve. Alright, announcements. Last week, my very young YouTube channel reached its first 500 subscribers. It's a huge milestone for me, and I can't thank you guys enough for making it happen. Now on to 1,000, right? Say by the new year? That's actually my only announcement this week, so let's just jump right in. Today, we'll be working on a werewolf. This is the closest I'm going to get to a wolf for you today. Not much of a disguise, I know, but it had to be done. Many of you have been asking me about my various animal ears, cat ears, bunny ears, and a whole bunch of masks that I wear for my videos. I love my hats and headdresses, and I actually make most of them myself. I've been asked to make pixie ears next. It's gonna be tricky, but I think I can do it. And speaking of fan requests, this episode is based on your video comments. Someone actually specifically asked that I color a recently transformed werewolf. So, here he is. Having said that, please don't be shy. If there's anything specific that you would like to see and learn, let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, click that subscribe button. We have a new milestone to chase. The werewolf I'll be coloring today is a variation on the page from my book Knights and Mares Halloween. The original image in the book is a full-page illustration in which he's sitting on a tree stump smoking a cigarette. For this demo, however, I reworked the composition to focus more on his face, framed him nicely so that we don't get distracted by too much background, and also added some decorative moon phases, because werewolf. This new edited version of the werewolf page is available as a free gift on Patreon for patrons of all tiers, along with a bunch of other Halloween-themed coloring pages that I've been putting up there for my patrons all month long. So come check it out and join my exclusive community. As with the other full Halloween colorings that I did this month, I'm coloring this one on toned paper. Gray seems fitting for a wolfman. I start with the moons. These moon mandalas are purely decorative. I'm not going for realistic moonlight that will be cast on my character here. I just want them to stand out and clearly convey the message of a full moon. So I fill in the glowing parts with white charcoal. White pencil will work just as well, so will pastels, chalks, acrylic paint, gel pens, and even whiteout. Of course, if you're working on white paper, the way to get this effect is to color the rest of the page, leaving the moons white. This is one of the main reasons that I work on toned paper to begin with. It's so much faster to add white to small elements here and there than to fill the entire page with color. But both ways work just fine. If I was going to do this with watercolor, for instance, I would actually prefer white paper over tan, and it would be even faster. So, like I always say, experiment. See what works for you. My way is not the universal way. It's just what I found to be a really cool and satisfying effect. I now add a little bit of white to the fur, but this isn't a backlit effect like I did on the black cat coloring. This is the actual fur color. I'm adding white to the parts of the fur that I think will have the lightest pigment. I imagine him to be kind of husky colored, with various shades of gray and some white scruff. Again, working on white paper, you can skip this step entirely and go straight to gray. For my first gray effect, I'm actually using black charcoal. This is a 4B or medium charcoal pencil. This is the one I use most often. It's not too light and it's not too dark, and it's not too crumbly. I'm starting with charcoal because, well, two reasons. First, because my black pencil has been reduced to this. And because it's actually faster. And here's why. Charcoal is easier to smudge and smear than colored pencil. I can apply charcoal pigment rather roughly all over to the areas that I want to be darkest, but instead of carefully drawing out every hair follicle, I can take a Q-tip and smudge the charcoal in the direction that I want the fur to go. This creates a very quick and very soft gray fur effect. The black of the charcoal no longer looks black, and with the Q-tip I'm able to cover more surface area faster. And because I'm working on gray toned paper, I already have a gray undertone, so I don't need to cover all of the wolf fur with charcoal strokes, just the darkest parts. But I don't want his fur to be just plain gray. I would like a little bit of brownish pigment in it as well. I switched to my Prismacolor pencils and picked chocolate as my first brown color. I'm applying it all over the black and the white charcoal, giving more definition to the fur. Notice that I'm always following the direction of the fur with my pencil strokes. I don't color up and down or left to right or across. I follow the suggested fur lines in the direction that I know fur would actually grow. It's very important to do this when working with any kind of fur or hair. Now that I have a nice layer of chocolate brown down, I switch to gray. The Prismacolor 150 set has a beautiful range of grays. I'm going to use several tones of light and dark, cool and warm grays for this fur effect. As always, I've pre-selected my pencils before starting this coloring, so that I don't get overwhelmed with all the choices and stick to the handful of colors that I actually need. I like to layer my colors, even if they're very similar, and I like to go back and forth between light and dark. This way I can keep balancing my contrast levels, but also I use the lighter colors to blend my darker pigments. Q-tips don't work on pencils as well as they do on charcoal, but lighter colors, at least with Prismacolor, are great for blending darker tones. The 20% French Gray is one of my favorite pencils in the set. It's my go-to tool for nearly white highlights. It works beautifully over pretty much any color. I'm using it here for my highlights and also for individual hairs. As I'm applying this very light color over my layers of black charcoal, chocolate brown, and 2 tones of warm and cool gray, it's picking up all these shades and blending them together, giving the fur a very realistic feel. It looks like a beige or cream at this point. I cannot stress this enough. Layers go a long way. It's not just about filling a certain area with a single color or a gradient of 2 colors. If you want to take your coloring to the next level or a more advanced level, start playing with layers. It will open up a whole new world of cool effects, many of which will be accidental. Go with it. Experiment. Some experiments will fail, and that's okay. Practice on scrap paper if you're not sure. Make a copy of the coloring page that interests you and practice with different pencils. Find your flow, find your tools. It's all very personal. I continue my wolf fur effect with 10% cool gray. I find that mixing cool and warm tones is a really nice trick for getting a perfect gray fur look, and especially wolf gray. Some animals have gray fur that's very even, like gray house cats or Weimaraners. Very smooth, very plain gray. But other animals, like gray ferrets, gray foxes, and of course wolves, their gray is all over the place. There's white in there, orange, a dozen shades of gray, black, kind of a salt and pepper look. And this is why I'm using so many colors here and constantly layering them. I like the way the fur turned out, but now my wolfman looks a bit dull on gray paper. Let's bring him out a bit with some background and decoration color. I'm gonna go for yellow in this case. I think that gray and blue tones balanced with white and yellow will create the perfect moonlight mood. Notice that I say mood, not effect. Remember that I'm not coloring real moonlight here. I just want to put thoughts of moonlight into the mind of whoever looks at this. This is an illustration, not a painting. It's a symbol rather than a depiction. The mood that I'm going for is mellow and cold. I want this scene to be gray, but not depressing or scary. Remember that color can be used for more than just describing subjects. It's a very strong mood-setting tool. Remember this coloring? Very different, right? Very strong use of warm and vibrant colors. Not accidental. The yellow that I'm using here for the outline is yellow ochre, another one of my favorites. It's not as cheerful as canary yellow, and it's not as vibrant as orange, but it's still very strong. It's a little bit like a mustard color. I really like it, and for this piece, it's perfect. I use actual orange as well, but just for the background within the frame and on the shirt. The strong saturation of the orange makes the gray of the wolf stand out despite all the gray on the page. I find that this mix of warm golden yellow tones with all the cool gray tones gives this coloring kind of a steampunky look. I'm very happy with it. And of course, no coloring of mine would ever be complete without even minor use of dark purple. It just brings everything together, especially if there's orange involved. Purple and orange just complement each other so perfectly. And I'm gonna call this done. For a really dramatic effect, you could go ahead and paint the rest of the page background something very dark, like purple, or blue, brown, or even solid black. That can certainly make an illustration like this very interesting. I will leave it like this though. So, what did you think? Obviously the techniques that I shared with you are not limited to werewolves. I hope you learned some tricks about fur in general, and that you will try out some of my layering techniques. Please feel free to share your coloring work in my Facebook group Tom. If you have any questions or requests, please put them in the comment section below the video. Click the thumbs up button if you like this video, and subscribe to my channel if you don't already. Also, check out the video description for links to all the tools that I used in this episode. I'm Lisa Mitrakin. Thank you so much for watching and for your subscriptions. super special thanks to all my patrons and for all your support. Thanks everyone for watching. Happy coloring and happy Halloween. I'll see you soon. Bye!